Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Manasi Vartak. I am the Chief AI Architect at Cloudera and really excited for you all to join me for this webinar series. This is part one of a five-part webinar series that we're running on Enterprise GenAI. And it's my pleasure to talk to you all about what we're seeing in the market with GenAI, what we think the future holds, and some of the work that the Cloudera team is doing to enable enterprise GenAI. So let's dive in. A little bit about me. I am the Chief AI Architect at Cloudera, as I mentioned. Joined 6 months ago, was previously the founder and CEO of Verta. It is a company that Cloudera acquired about 6 months back. We were building AI infrastructure, including model management, serving, monitoring, and governance. We were a MIT spinoff, and that's where my thesis work has been. Have been building infrastructure systems for the last 10 plus years, have also done hands-on data science and machine learning, and I've seen a lot of waves in the space. And so it's exciting to see the newest wave of GenAI and how we can best support our customers and our users to leverage it. What I'll be doing today is a few things. We will start off with some trends that we're seeing in the market when we talk to folks in large enterprises who are trying to build GenAI. We'll talk about what are common pitfalls, challenges we see. Then I'll do a quick overview of Cloudera AI for those who haven't been introduced to the product. And then we'll talk about what some of the trends translate to in terms of new techniques and new enhancements that you might want to try out. So without further ado, I'll get started. Feel free to use the Q&A area to drop questions as we go along. I will pick them up towards the end. We will also have a few poll questions so I can get a better pulse check of who's in the room and what you might be looking to do with GenAI. Wonderful. So let's dive in. I want to start by highlighting 3 trends that we see in the market when it comes to enterprise GenAI. So the first one is probably a reality that everyone here is living. And it's basically that the pace of AI innovation is off the charts. And I've never seen something that's moving as fast in the last 10 to 15 years, whether it's AI agents that are popping up everywhere, whether it's doctors' offices or customer support or just daily tasks. We're finding that AI is going multimodal, so it's not just text. It's also audio, it's also images and video. And so AI is becoming a lot richer and moving beyond text. And if you are in the open source community or use open source models, their open source is keeping pace with all of the innovations and proprietary models. And in fact, Hugging Face crossed 1 million models on the platform in the month of September, which is just explosive growth, which speaks to all of the new innovation that's happening in AI. And when we speak to enterprises across verticals, whether it's financial services, it's insurance, retail, transportation, the message that we hear is the same. For enterprises, it's hard to keep up with this constant onslaught. They're worried about, how do I use the latest version of RAG? Do I have the right talent to build and leverage AI? How do I use AI in a safe and secure manner? And in terms of tooling, how do I future-proof myself? Because I don't want to invest in a technology today to have it become obsolete in 3 to 4 months. And so these are the kinds of challenges that we hear across the board and the ones that we're helping our customers and users to solve day to day. So that's the first trend. The second one, I think, will also resonate with folks here, which is that valuable AI applications require sensitive data. What do I mean by that? If you think about GPT, Llama, the Cohere models, Anthropic models, and so on, all of them are trained on internet data, which means that any of the foundation models today already know 90% there is to know about the internet. But that's not what enterprises are most concerned about. The things that you want your AI to know are things that are specific to your organization. These might be the details of your product, how pricing works, who your customers are, what are the legal contracts that you're in, what are support cases, internal communications and policies. And so what we're finding is that the most valuable AI applications are not the ones that are using internet data. They are the ones that are using enterprise data, and which means there is a need for a lot of control on this data, on these models, and how they're getting used. These are just a few examples of the internet that I wanted to use to highlight it. As the NVIDIA CEO mentioned, there's a need and a demand for countries to have sovereign AI, whether it's really tailored to their language, their customs, their culture, and so on. It also means that when an enterprise is adopting AI, security and compliance are the number one barriers. And so more and more we're finding that the number one hurdle to doing any kind of AI is making sure that the security and compliance is in place. So that's the second trend we see. And before I highlight the third trend, I thought we would do a quick poll for what are the top 3 barriers to implementation that you see within your organization. What we're going to do is, if you folks could fill out this poll, we'll then compare it to a Gartner survey, and we'll see where it lines up. So if you could take a moment and just click on the top 3 barriers, I'll give it a minute, and then we'll catalog the results to see what we find. All right, maybe 5 more seconds, and then let's see what the results look like. All right, so here's what we found. The top 3 barriers include estimating and demonstrating AI value. That seems to be tied to lack of business alignment and defining use cases. The second one is lack of skills and talent, and then it falls off significantly to confidence, data, and trust. Funnily enough, this lines up almost exactly with, sorry, there's something off with how the images are showing up. There we go. Okay. This lines up almost exactly with what Gartner found. The number one hurdle in the Gartner survey was estimating and demonstrating AI value. In our quick survey, the business alignment was also higher here, but I think it's within 10 percentage points, so we're not that way off. And that shows a trend that we see across the board, that AI is great, models are great, but unless you can translate that to tangible business outcomes, the funding you need, the budgets you need to make it a reality are just not there. And so for enterprise leaders and technology leaders, this is the number one thing that they need to grapple with. So we see a big push within our customer base to really help teams move from POCs to things that actually work in production, and to move from this is a great model to here's some business outcome that we can impact. So those were the top 3 trends that we see consistently as we look across geographies, across verticals. And so part of my role coming into Cloudera has been to align how we build out a roadmap and products to better address our customer needs. So next, I'm going to give you a quick preview into how have we structured our product investments to meet the needs of the day. And happy to answer questions. This will also be a roadmap, so to speak, for other deep dives that we will be doing as part of the webinar series, and it can point you in the right direction. So before I go there, I thought I would take a minute and just give you a quick summary of Cloudera AI if you haven't seen it before. If you would like to go deeper, of course, please find your contact within Cloudera, and they can give you a great overview here. So AI, as you know, has a lot of components to it. It has hardware, it has data, it has the actual data science, modeling that's going on, and then ultimately you're building business applications. And so we think about Cloudera as being a unified sort of full stack that can take you from nothing to 100 using one platform. And so we start off here with hardware and infrastructure. Folks here might be running on-prem or running on the cloud or hybrid. As you might know, that's the area where Cloudera focuses. Then we have the lakehouse. This is where all of your data resides. It can be different kinds of data. We have efficient ways to query it. We work with Iceberg, all the good stuff there. And then we think about the next layer as being governance. If you're familiar with SDX, is where it would come in. And as AI gets more advanced, it gets full featured and makes automated decisions. We find that governance is a critical part and needs to apply to models, needs to apply to AI applications, needs to apply to data. And so we've made it a fundamental layer of the Cloudera stack. On top of that sits Cloudera AI, or formerly called Cloudera Machine Learning, if you've seen a previous version of the product. And it's really meant to to meet teams where they are. So if you are building data science and notebooks, there's capabilities for that. If you're doing machine learning, where you're training models, you might want to deploy them, you want to monitor them, you need a model registry, then that's Cloudera AI. And then of course, GenAI, which is the topic for today, a variety of capabilities there. So that's the layer here, which is really the bread and butter for Cloudera AI that helps our customers build AI applications. The next layer is actually a pretty critical one that I'm going to touch upon in a few slides again, and that is the analytics and AI ecosystem. The AI ecosystem is such that there are new tools and techniques coming up all the time. And so we've architected this whole platform so that you can pick and choose the tools that work best for your use case, for your needs. And the platform is open enough for you to bring that in and use it as part of your workflow. So that's the analytics and AI ecosystem. And then you use it in order to build AI applications, whether it's agents, chatbots, you name it. And so our goal is really to provide a solution to go from, hey, I have some GPUs or CPUs, I have some data, all the way to here's an application that can actually serve business value. So hopefully that's a really quick overview. I won't go super deep into Cloudera AI. If you have questions, as I said, Q&A, or happy to direct you to people who can do a deeper dive. So what I'm going to do next is to look at 4 key areas in which we're focusing our development in Cloudera AI to better meet the challenges that we see customers face in the market. So that's where we'll spend the next sort of 10 to 15 minutes and give you an update on where we are there. All right. So I set up this talk at the beginning with a few trends that we were seeing. And our themes that for product development really line up with that. The first one we found is that rapid innovation is the #1 ask as the AI space evolves very, very quickly. And so any solution in AI needs to be able to keep up with the changes and help users keep up with the changes. So that's the first part of our North Star. The second one is private AI. I'm going to go a lot deeper into this one, but briefly, it has to do with enterprises being able to control every aspect of their AI so that their models, their data, their hardware, they always have control on it, and they can be sure that it's used in a secure and compliant manner. So that's private AI. The third one is enabling end-to-end AI. AI applications are more than models. They are data, they're databases. their authentication layers. And so helping users to build end-to-end AI is a key need for us, and I'll touch upon that. And ultimately, as the last poll showed us, our goal is to accelerate AI adoption and help teams to show ROI. Because if we can't show ROI, then the continued funding for AI and everything will be at risk. So those are the 4 areas that I'm going to focus on and give you a little bit of insight into what that means and some of the latest things that we have done in order to support these 4 pillars. All right, so let's start off with rapid innovation. I'll give you a moment to just check out that chart, and then I'll go through it quickly. If you consider the last 10 to 15 years of AI, you'll notice that there are different waves. There is data science. That's how things began. Data science, advanced analytics. Then it was machine learning. There was deep learning. A few years later, it was ML operations. Now it's generative AI. Then it's agents. And then it's going to be frontier AI, as I'm calling it here. And we don't even know what that might be. That might be multimodal. That might be robots. But it's going to be another step function change. And with each of these shifts in the market, think about the y-axis as being the impact of innovation. The impact that data science had versus the impact that generative AI is having is pretty significant, many-fold larger. And so we're expecting that these innovations come more frequently and are more disruptive than before. And so a key part for us was to make sure that the platform that we built would be able to accommodate these new waves without enterprises needing to retool. So what do I mean? If you work in data, Spark was the big thing that you used for data processing. Then it was Ray, then there's Dask. There's always new frameworks and tools that you're going to use in your AI and data processing work. And so the platform that you choose for data and AI needs to be extensible enough. And that's just data. If you think about GenAI frameworks, there's LangChain, there's Llama Index, there's LangGraph, LangSmith. Similarly, if you think about models, there's new models released every week. And some of the new ones might be a really good fit for your organization. And we want our users to be able to pick and choose what models they care about the most, which ones are a good fit. Similarly for vector databases. And so a key tenet for us is to have the platform be flexible enough to pick and choose the pieces that work for you and build end-to-end AI applications. As you can see, and if you have gone deeper into the platform, this is roughly how the platform's structured with compute infrastructure, Kubernetes, then some key abstractions, jobs, notebooks, schedulers of that sort, on top of which runs the ecosystem, and then the layer that helps you build AI applications. You might look at all of this and say, hey, this is too complicated. I just need to get started with something really, really quickly. That's what we also find. We serve users who range from they're just getting started with AI all the way to they have trained their own models. And so we try to cater to different needs. And one of the key innovations that the product team here has developed is AMPs. These are accelerators for AI ML projects. So think of it as a quick way for you to build a RAG system or a chatbot or a summarizer without having to figure out what kind of hardware should I use? What do I need from this layer? What do I need from this layer? What do I do on the top layer? What AMPs really let you do is to find your use case that you care about, find a prepackaged almost solution that you can use out of the gate, and then you can customize as needed. And we found AMPs to be the #1 sort of facilitator for our customers to try out the latest innovations in AI. So anytime there's a new technique that is published or there's a new model, within a matter of weeks, we'll typically have an AMP that has the latest innovations there. So we're finding that this is a great way for our customers to stay on top of AI innovation. And we're going to be going deeper into the AMPs construct, how to build them, all of that with Jacob in January. So I encourage you to check that out, or you can actually go and try out any of these AMPs right now as well. So that's the first piece, the first pillar, which is how do we support latest AI innovation? Next, I'm going to talk about another one that has become increasingly important for us and our customers, which is private AI. And if you haven't heard that term before, that's because we're defining the term and we're finding that it is resonating a lot with enterprise customers. So what do I mean? Private AI means that it's your models, your data, and your compute, wherever you run. This could be on-prem, this could be multi-cloud, this could be hybrid. And all of this stack is running within your secure environment. You're not sending your data to a third party where you don't know if they're training models on it, if they're logging the model IO and then using it. You don't need to worry about, am I sending someone PII information that I then need to retract? All of the concerns that typically enterprises have. Then you can also run inference or training within your boundary. So you might have GPUs already, and it might be a lot cheaper since you've already made that investment to run your models on your GPUs. And so we really look at the stack as you choose the models to run, you're running them securely. It is your data, whether you're fine-tuning, doing RAG, it's always protected, and you can choose where to run it. So that's how we're defining private AI. Again, this is not just on-prem. You could run it in any secure environment of your choosing. And this is one of those areas where we've partnered pretty heavily with both cloud providers and NVIDIA and foundation model providers in order to bring this to you. In particular, if you were at the Evolve conferences, particularly in New York a few weeks ago, we enabled the general availability of AI inference. And this is one of our key steps towards enabling private AI. So what does AI inference mean? AI inference is a capability that helps you run optimized LLMs at scale within the Cloudera ecosystem. So whether you're running private or public cloud, you can run a variety of LLMs in a scalable manner. That means you can scale to 0 when you're not using it. You can scale to 100 as you set up the parameters. You're going to get the enterprise security. You're going to get hardware acceleration. And all of this is already baked in. We have folks using this type of model in a variety of ways, and this is supported by NVIDIA NIMs. So any model that's available on NVIDIA NIMs automatically becomes available on AI inference as well. We're seeing a lot of interest in this one and helping our customers currently set it up. So if you're interested, please reach out. And we'll be doing a deep dive on this in January, but definitely welcome for you to send us a note or let us know that you're interested in learning more about it. So that's private AI. You're going to see a lot more coming from the Cloudera team in the area of private AI, as we find that enterprises need more control on their AI. They need to make sure that their data is secure, their models are secure, and their applications are low risk. All right. So 2 down, 2 to go. Let's talk about the next 2 pillars that are driving our investments. So the third pillar is what we call end-to-end enterprise AI. Here I have a quick diagram of how RAG systems are typically structured. You have some data sources. These might be your Slacks or Teams, messages, documents, or it might be a database, for example. Then you have some way to get that data into a vector database. You might do that in a streaming fashion. You might do that in a bulk load fashion. Once you have that data in a vector database, then you are serving up that information for user queries. So a user query might come in, you're going to send it to an LLM. It's going to use an embedding model to fetch the right information, and then it's going to return an answer. And I draw this out to call your attention to a few things. One is, there's a lot of data processing components here, whether it's NiFi, Kafka, you have a vector database, you have Spark. These are ETL tools, like heavyweight data processing tools. We also find that this is sensitive data that you don't want to send to a third party, very likely. Your Slack messages should probably not be living on a third party server. And then you'll find that there are multiple models here. It's not just one model. So this is what it takes to build end-to-end AI that is going to drive business value. You're going to find that you need enterprise data. It is typically real time because you want the latest Slack messages. You want the latest support tickets, not ones that are 3 months old. You want all this information to remain private. And this is typically not just GenAI. You're going to have components of classifiers. You're going to have components of traditional ML as well. And so what we're finding is, in order to build this end-to-end enterprise AI applications, you need not just Cloudera AI, but also parts of the data platform to make it real. And that's where we are building out these end-to-end applications that leverage different parts of the Cloudera platform for our customers to use AI. I'm going to highlight just one here, and then you can follow up on that further later. This one is called RAG Studio, and what it does is it can ingest data from a variety of sources using NiFi or data in motion from the Cloudera suite. It's going to index it using embedding models that run on AI Inference. So it's private AI. And this is meant to be a high code, low code system, which means you don't need to be a coder in order to use it. Your IT team can use it. Your HR folks can use it. You can drag and drop and build applications very quickly. And we build in governance and monitoring so that you don't need to do the heavy lifting. We find that having these pre-assembled solutions significantly help showing the ROI on AI applications. And this is one of a series of many that we will be launching in the future. We're going to do a deep dive on this type of end-to-end AI applications in December. This one is actually going to be focused on NiFi and less on RAG Studio, but we're happy to talk more about that as well. So that's on the end-to-end enterprise AI side. I'm going to highlight the last part of the AI adoption piece and then open it up for questions from the audience. We talked about innovation, we talked about private AI, we talked about enabling end-to-end AI applications. Ultimately, we're doing all of this in the service of accelerating AI usage across enterprises. And so I already touched upon these two buckets. The last thing I want to highlight that we're doing is we're also launching AI assistants across Cloudera. So that means if you're using the Cloudera data platform, then all of it is smarter. There are ways for you to write better SQL queries or use natural language to SQL in order to query the data that's sitting in your Cloudera data warehouse. So that's the Hue AI assistant that you can see here. If you're using the Cloudera data visualization systems, then the chatbots that we've built let you chat with your data. So you can ask questions about what region had the greatest sales, what item or widget had the greatest number of sales, and it will produce charts automatically, thus enabling self-serve for hopefully a much larger percentage of your user base. And then we have copilots across the board. Here we're showing the CML copilot that can help you build AI scripts when you are in our notebook environment. So this is just a sneak peek into the kind of assistance that we're building across Cloudera in order to bring intelligence into the platform. But again, our goal is to make sure that it's easy, it's secure for our users to adopt AI. And all of these are running privately within AI Inference. You can choose to use your own models, but you have the ability to also use it with AI Inference. We'll do a deep dive on AI assistants in February. But if you would like to find more info earlier, of course, please reach out. So with that, those were the 4 pillars that I wanted to cover that are really driving some of the innovations we're doing in the AI space. And our lens has been to enable rapid innovation, make sure that our customers have full control over AI that they're using and developing, to make sure that they can build real applications, and ultimately to show ROI via accelerated AI adoption. So hopefully that gives you a sense of what's coming, and we would be delighted to talk further, provide more information on any of these. Before I open it up for Q&A, I thought it would be useful for us to understand where folks are in the audience in terms of implementing an enterprise AI solution, and then see how we can best help you. So I'll leave that up there for about, again, 10 seconds for folks to just weigh in, and then I'll open it up for Q&A in your webinar tool. All right, wonderful. So with that, I would love to open it up for question and answer here. You'll see a Q&A area on the webinar screen. Please drop any questions there. I'll take them as they come in. And if you want to get deeper on any of these, I think we're happy to help also connect you with folks who can do deep dives. I'll give folks kind of a couple of seconds to just type up their questions. Great, I see the first one already, which I think is probably one that you might see here, is what are the top use cases that you're seeing the customers implement? I would say a few. The easiest one typically to get started is some sort of knowledge management, also implemented via RAG. So this might be your knowledge base, if you have Confluence or something like that, or you have a set of policy documents, or you have product documentation. It's fairly easy to build up a RAG system and get that going. So we see that quite a bit. For engineering heavy organizations, of course, there's coding assistants. They need to be tailored to your particular code base and how you folks work. There's some legal ramifications too when you're using AI generated code and so on. So those two are pretty key. And then chatbots for customer service, we see that a ton as well. And we've helped customers kind of implement those. So I'd say those 3 are some of the key ones that we see. All right, I see another one that's popping in here. Is Cloudera planning to create a playground area in the ML experience for quick test of models? That's very much something that is on our plans. This is something that Berta, the company I used to lead, had built out. And we used to call it a leaderboard, where you can test out different models, you can see how they compare. So that's an area that you can expect we'll have. And if not already, I might just bump it up as a AMP request for our team. So thanks for that question. Can make note of that. Great. I have another one that has to do with monitoring and governance. Um, we're finding that as models are getting deployed, the need to make sure that the results are high quality is becoming pretty critical. So if you've heard of evaluations, that's where this comes in. And it has also led us to build some of the governance and monitoring features for RAG Studio. We think that this is going to be fairly critical going forward. And while it's easy to build a demo, the difference between a demo versus a production instance of AI applications is actually the quality of your evaluations. And so we're seeing that become a pretty critical need there. Please feel free to keep your questions coming. This is a good one. So it says, like, in terms of models, do you expect there to be one model that rules them all, or will there be multiple models? We feel pretty strongly that there will be multiple models, and it's a multi-model ecosystem. General purpose models tend to be very large, and therefore they're either expensive, less efficient, you name it. And we're finding that models can be made smaller depending on what use case you're tailoring them towards. And that's where the small language models, SLM, trend has really come up. And we see that being a trend that's here to stay. So most use cases we expect will have a mix of some large language models, some small language models, particularly when you think about agentic workflows. There might be some stages that need more thinking and processing, might need a larger model, but then simpler models to do the tasks for the agent. I think we have time for maybe two more questions, so feel free to drop them in. This question is about AI inference. Peter, so the question is, the AI inference is supposed to be faster, cheaper, etc. Peter, who's the PM for AI inference, is going to do a deep dive session, so I would encourage you to attend that. And also happy to connect you with folks who can talk more about it. In general, our motivation for the AI inference capability was that it's rather hard to run LLMs on your own. You need them to have hardware acceleration. You need them to be scalable, so you're not paying or using compute when you don't need to. And so the platform is actually built on top of Kserve, if you're familiar with it. It's a Kubernetes-based solution for model serving. And then we use the NVIDIA NIMs to provide optimized runtime environments and models that can be run within it. And the NVIDIA NIMs have a pretty rich library of models that are already supported, and they're adding more all the time. So we found that to be a really good architecture for us to scale. All right. I see the last one coming through. So For folks who are looking to choose AI solutions, what are some of the things to consider? This is not going to be an exhaustive list, just something to keep in mind is the first one is that AI is going to evolve very, very quickly. So today we're talking about Llama 3.1. There's going to be new models. There's going to be tools. So pick something that is going to last you not just this year, but it's going to last you for the next several years. And so that's really important. The second one is the security and privacy of your data is going to become more and more critical. And so choosing a solution that respects the privacy and security of your data, as well as provides governance, is going to become critical. And then the last one I would say is tailoring who the platform is for to your user base. Are you buying something for IT and data science? Are you buying it for your business users? And then figuring out what solution works for that demographic is also pretty critical. So I'd say those are some of the things that I would consider as you might be considering different solutions. Wonderful. And I just got the cue that we're at time. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Hopefully this gave you a sense of how we see the market, what trends we're seeing upcoming, and some of the areas that we're focusing on in order to better meet our customers where they are with AI needs. We'd be delighted to talk more. Please feel free to attend the webinars, as I mentioned, or reach out to us through your Cloudera sort of representatives, and happy to go deeper on any of the areas we discussed. So thanks again, and have a good day/night, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you.